My name is Ben Knowles from East Coast Yacht Sales, and in this video I'm going to be describing the thought processes that we like to go through when anchoring an Axopar 37. So please take a look at this video, and if you have any questions for us, feel free to reach out using the information below this video. So when choosing your spot, I like to really kind of get into skinnier water. Because the Axopar does not draw much water, I always mentally think, okay, the boat's roughly drawing 3 feet or so. It allows you to get up real nice and close up to a beach or the shoreline. The closer you are to shore, the more in the lee you'll be, the more out of the wind you'll be as well. But I always look at the chart, and also at the main at least, with roughly 10-foot tide heights. If you're anchoring in shallow water, you're not anchoring in too little of shallow water as well. So you want to pay attention to the chart on what the average low tide height is and know what your tide is doing, so you're not going to get yourself into trouble by anchoring into too shallow of conditions. In this chart here, there's a nice little dip up of deeper water, and I'm just kind of targeting that area. But before I get to my final resting spot where I'll want to drop the anchor, there's a few things that we need to do up forward to prepare to anchor. So let's go ahead and do that now. So there are a few key things that make anchoring the Axopar 37 really easy. And the first thing is just the accessibility you have directly from the helm up to the anchor locker. And also specific to just the general layout of the anchor locker, I really love the layout of this setup. You have your anchor and windlass right here. You've got your snubber here as well. I also love it how Axopar separates your anchor rod from the rest of the compartment. This is a really big compartment in here, so I like to load this up with a bunch of gear. And it's just nice to know that my anchor rod is all safely forward of everything else that where I've stowed in the boat. But to prepare to drop the anchor, first things I do is take off the preventer, and then you have the vibration plate here. This vibration plate will not prevent the anchor from deploying on its own. It just helps keep it nice and secure. But this preventer will help eliminate the risk of the anchor dropping without you wanting it to. Another thing you'll notice when I first open up this hatch here, I have the power, the breaker associated with this Maxwell anchor windlass off. And I know that because I've got this yellow tag down. I don't like having power going to this anchor windlass if I'm not intending on using it. In an emergency situation, you still need to come up here anyway to deploy the anchor. And simply pushing this tag up adds no more real time to the whole process. But what does need to be understood is the power that this anchor windlass does have. When you are anchoring, you want to be cool, calm, collected. You don't want your kids to be up in and around this space. It is so easy to think about getting your fingers caught in here, and boy is this thing powerful. So calm everything down and be well organized when operating this anchor windlass. And just by not having power going to it when you're not using it eliminates the risk of anyone accidentally pressing buttons to lower or raise up the anchor windlass. Now, specific to this windlass, another thing that Axopar does really nicely is they have a stainless steel ultra anchor, about 100 feet of chain. You've got a anchor swivel here, and just this auto deploying anchor roller as well. It's just all a really nice setup for easy deploying of the anchor. There are 2 modes that this anchor windlass does have. Mode 1 is power down mode, which when you press down on the button, it powers the anchor chain down. And then there's free flow mode, which when you press power down on the anchor windlass to let the chain out, it releases the clutch and it allows the anchor chain to free flow. I personally like to have it on power down mode. I just feel like it gives me a little bit more control on exactly how much anchor rode I'm putting out. How you can switch to the different modes for the anchor windlass is with this arm right here. This mode right here is power down, and then this mode here is free flow. So free flow, then power down. I like to, again, keep it on the power down mode. So things that I like to think about is choosing the right spot to physically drop the anchor. And your consideration you need to think about is your swing room as well. It's fairly general practice to have a 5-to-1 ratio for the amount of anchor rode that you put out to the depth of the water. We're in 5 feet of water, which is which is skinny water, but a place where I would consider anchoring given this scenario right now. If I were to do a 5-to-1 ratio, I'd want to be putting 25 feet of anchor rode out. 5-to-1 is definitely conservative, however. I change the ratio at which I let, how much anchor rode I put out depending on the weather conditions, the forecast, how long we're going to be anchored for. If we're going to be anchoring just for a couple hours by the beach and there's a fair amount of congestion around, I'll probably do more like a 3-to-1 ratio if I feel like it's the appropriate scenario. Again, this is all judgment call, and you being the captain, you've got to make the right call given your scenario that you're in. But if I'm in a tighter anchorage and just going to be hanging out for a short period of time, I'd consider doing a 3-to-1 ratio. But if we're going to be spending the night, I'd want to put more like a 5-to-1 ratio out. Right now we're actually in 3 feet of water, so I'm going to back up a little bit before I drop the anchor. For dropping the anchor, I like to use the wireless remote just to drop the anchor. Once I get some momentum going, I usually just have one engine in idle reverse for this. Again, nice reverse momentum here. We've got 4.5 feet, we'll call that good. So I'm gonna press down on the anchor. You'll see how nicely the anchor automatically deploys. And what I do is I'll continue my reverse motion, and then I'll stop the anchor going down, anchor windlass going down, and then I watch my anchor rode and see how our bow is starting to spin around. Right now I'm literally setting the anchor, and I can feel that reverse motion that we've had. I feel us just decelerating. The anchor is really being set now. I put both the throttles in neutral. I'm quite certain that the anchor is pretty well set, but what I'm going to do is let out another 10 or 15 feet of anchor chain. Again, this is all just more of a judgment call on my part. I don't exactly know how much I have, but I have a pretty good idea. Now with both engines, I'm just going to do an idle reverse, and what I'm going to be watching is that pivoting portion of the anchor roller to start to see it come up. See how it's just come up now? So it's starting to get some tension, and now I'm going to wait and feel. Boom! I've just felt that boat pretty much stop. We just had this little bit of a surge back, so we're not going anywhere at this stage. So now I'm comfortable powering down my engines. So the last bit of the process is just putting out your snubber. What your snubber is meant to do is to take the load off of your anchor windlass. The anchor windlasses really aren't designed to hold the anchor chain in a blow or anything like that. So it's always best practice to have a snubber. These are snubbers that we make up at East Coast Yacht Sales, and we give them to the customers when they buy a boat, but it's pretty easy to put on. It's easy to do with one hand. You can connect this little guy onto the chain, and then I just bring it back and cleat it on here, like so. And then of course the last bit is you just gotta ease out that last bit of anchor chain. See how the anchor chain's taking on a load right now? See how you always kind of watch the angle of the anchor chain. Now where it's coming back down to a rest, but I'm actually gonna go down with the anchor chain now just to have the snubber take up this load. So now we're all set. We're in a good place, and now it's time to relax and have some fun. So now I'm bringing the anchor back up. So the first thing is getting the snubber off the chain. And obviously when you start doing this and bringing the anchor up, you want to make sure that your engines are also on. So for bringing the anchor rod up, I like to use the wired remote. We got a little breeze, even though we're really tucked up into a protected harbor here, that still is a breezy day. And what I'm doing is I'm paying attention to how much load is on the anchor chain, and I'm gauging load based off of how sharp of an angle the anchor chain is going off of the boat. So you can see right now the angle's starting to drop. So what I'm going to do is bring the anchor chain up. What you don't want to do is be physically pulling the boat to the anchor. That's not what the anchor windlass is designed to do, is to pull the boat to the anchor. You want to, under a lighter load, you want to raise the anchor chain, and as that angle goes up, when you're pulling up the anchor chain, you just want to give it a rest and wait for the angle to drop back down. So we'll do that now. So we'll stop there. See how we've got a bit of a sharp angle. We're going to let the boat settle back down. I'm fine with this angle right here. We'll wait for this gust to go away. So now the anchor is probably off the ground now. So what you want to do is, as I'm lifting up the anchor, I'm watching it for just to reach the surface of the water, and then I'll slow things way down. See how there's a little bit of mud on the anchor? That's fairly common. What I like to do here is I just like to bump the anchor. So I'll just grab the anchor chain right here and just do one of these. So anchor's all nice and clean. And so this last step is key, and you really just want to go slow. Very rarely is the anchor pointing in the direction that you really want it to be in to go back into the anchor roller. But this is one of the great things about this particular anchor roller, is it will help automatically spin the anchor around. You just need to be doing it very slowly. What we'll do here is I'm just gonna get the anchor right up to the lower roller and see how we're pretty much spun right around. So I'm just gonna bump it. Nice and easy. See how that spun around? And then we'll bring it in the rest of the way. Just like that. First thing I'll do is take the power off. Now I'll do the preventer right here. And then the vibration plate. I hope you learned something from this anchoring video on an Axopar 37. If you enjoy these videos, please like and subscribe for more videos like this.